this episode of Two Women Left Unsupervised. We have left conspiracy theories behind us, and we have summer colds. So pity us, for we are pitiful.
I may die. Like, I have gone beyond like cold to man cold status.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drink my medicine.
Okay, good idea. So the idea is today that we're both kind of like delirious from not feeling well and cold medication. Neither of us has the Rona. We are just sick. I have an upper respiratory infection. Susie has some plague that her dirty little spawn brought home. And
my petri dish. Yeah, it's some sort of like summer thing.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's probably a conglomeration. I'm crazy stupid allergic to mold, and it has been raining like crazy here.
So your house is molding?
Well, it's not necessarily the house. I was working in the garden, and then my son came home, so I'm sure
Your son's molding.
Well, he might be a mushroom. I don't know. He might be like some character out of the Mario Kart or something. Okay. The Mario Kart.
The Mario Kart. Hey, boomer. So the point was that we got some questions from some of you guys, and I got questions for Susie, and she got questions for me, not from me, for me.
I mean, you might have questions. I don't know.
I have so many questions.
There are so many
questions. But so we're gonna ask each other questions and answer them,
and I might play with my ASMR shirt. Look at that.
Don't take it off. You gotta leave it on.
I'm leaving it on.
Look at you. You got your mask built in.
I do. It's like, look at that. I do love this shirt. Like,
why are you like this?
Shiny.
Oh, yeah. Good job, fish brains.
Yeah, fish brain, shiny. I might be slightly brain damaged from an incident in 1998. We're not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, do you want to start, or should I start?
I don't care.
I'll start.
So yeah. I guess ask the question and then like tell who asked it by their first name, and then or tell who asked it and then ask the question, or
well, I will ask the question first, and then after you answer it, I'll tell you who asked it.
That's better. Yeah, that works.
So this question says, ask Candy if she could be a mythical creature, what would it be?
I could be a mythical creature. Like, I make jokes all the time that I'm a werewolf, but I wouldn't be a werewolf because they're kind of limited in what they can do.
You'd be like a unicorn.
No.
You'd be a wericorn.
I get to choose. So I would choose to be a shapeshifter that can shapeshift into the form of a dragon, so that I could fly around and I could like go where I want when I want, right? I'd be really big so I could take people with me. And if people made me mad, I could just light them on fire.
So you'd be like Falcor.
No, but mean. More smog, less Falcor.
But Falcor rocks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, could I be like blue? Then yeah, I guess. Yeah. But with fire.
Okay, so I guess like my personal question is, if you were Falcor, could I ride you and yell Falcor while we were flying over the city?
Obviously.
Okay, cool.
I would expect it, but I wouldn't be Falcor. But you could still yell it.
Okay. As long as I get to yell Falcor.
Yeah, you can ride me anywhere. Oh wait, no.
This is a family show.
I will transport you anywhere you want to go, and you can shout out anything you want.
I literally looked around for pearls to clutch, but I got nothing.
I stopped myself before I said the thing that would have been a bad thing.
So flirty. Such candy. Okay, do you want to ask a question or do you want me to keep going? Because that was from Simon. So ironically, that was from Simon.
Of course it
For those not in the know, Candy's fiance is Simon. I'm the one who hooked those two up. Yeah, that's right. I was like, you two, you need to be together. And they were like, totes.
Yeah, and then you're like, wait, no, not like that.
I was like, wait! I want to be there too.
Yeah.
Pay attention to me.
It's the hair that keeps like flying. All this hair is like too much. I want to shave my head.
Wow. She says to the person with very thin hair.
I mean, it'll grow back.
Yeah. Mine is just like, I'm gonna be bland and flat, and it's not gonna be like full and lush, but it's gonna be hot as hell. So yeah.
The last time I got a haircut, I lost like 5 pounds. So
I didn't.
When I cut it off from long, let me rephrase that. When I cut it from when it was long like it is now to making it like, it was like short. It was cute. I was spiky.
You're always cute.
Shut up. Who's flirting now, you smooth bitch?
Hey, baby.
Okay, so I will now ask you a question. Let's go back and forth. Okay, so knowing your love for pockets, if there was just one item, just one, that you could choose to shrink down and carry around in your pocket, what would it be and why?
That's a tough one. Just one item?
Just one.
Would it regrow after I took it out?
I would assume so, yeah. Like, I would assume it's like you could shrink it and carry it around and then take it out and put it down and it would like serve its actual purpose. Because otherwise that wouldn't be any fun.
Well, I would have to say then I would carry my child around in my pocket like a kangaroo.
No, I think that no, because he's not an item. You have to pick a thing.
I have to pick a thing.
Yeah, Hypnospawn is not well, I mean, he is kind of a thing, but he's not an item.
He's a strange thing.
Yeah.
Although, honestly, he comes by it honestly. I would, you know what? I would shrink my entire garden down into my pocket and then take it with me.
Why?
Because it's my garden.
Right, but it's your garden, like at your house, and you don't travel.
That's true.
So.
Well, I mean, at this point, I don't really go anywhere, so I don't need anything. Like, everything that I need pockets for fits in my pockets because I got huge pockets.
I would shrink a house that was like fully equipped, because then I could just like take it out whenever I was at somewhere that I liked for a little while. And if I didn't like it anymore, because, you know, I get restless after a couple years, I would just shrink my house and move again.
That would be cool. Yeah, I would do that, but like with the entire yard too. So it just like all go into my pocket.
Yeah. Sorry, that wasn't my question, but that was from Christine.
Okay. So, since you are an artist, what type of art would you be? What medium? What colors? Would you be paint? Would you be a brush? A camera? Perhaps clay or yarn? Describe yourself in art and be descriptive.
Describe myself in art. Well, I think that with that one, while it would be nice to be like a brush or a camera, those are the things that create the art. So I think that that's kind of a way out, although it would be lovely to be the thing that creates the art. But if I were art, I would be a like really large, like building size oil painting of a sunset, full of all the colors, the reds, the golds,
Could
the
you be like a
purple.
building mural?
No, I'm not done.
Okay.
We finished. I'm
Carry
supposed to be descriptive. So I'd have all the colors of, the sunset, and it would be a scene where you could see like the landscape as like in silhouette, so you could see like the mountains in the distance. So I guess it would be like the Rocky Mountains, because they're the prettiest mountains I've ever seen. And then like you could also kind of see like a tree line and a lake, and then like reflections from the sunset, and also in the reflections you would see like the leaves from the trees, and then the animals in the forest, and like a little cottage, like ivy covered and stuff, like the little house where you would expect a witch to live, like one of those. And yeah, and probably throw a dog in there because I like dogs. That's why it needs to be big. And no, I wouldn't be a building mural because it's an oil painting, and I would want to be hanging in a museum so that everybody could come and see something that's beautiful. And I would also want them to make prints of me so people could have it in their house.
That was from Tara.
Oh, okay.
So,
was that descriptive enough?
yes. So go ahead. It's your turn.
Okay. Name your earliest influences as a writer.
Oh shit. Huh. I would have to say the Bronte sisters, Anne Radcliffe, Horace Walpole, Edgar Allan Poe, Stephen King,
Mm-hmm.
and Douglas Adams and Neil Gaiman.
Nice. Now, at what, like, this isn't part of the question, but I want to know because you mentioned it. Like, okay, so Douglas Adams and Neil Gaiman, I can see like you would get into at a younger age. But how old were you when you started reading the Bronte sisters?
I was 15.
Okay. And was
Yeah.
it because it was something in school that you had to read, or was it for pleasure?
It was purely pleasure. My parents had, in fact, I actually have the original book on my bookshelf that I read, and it is well worn. My parents had this entire collection of classics, and so they all had that like weird sort of platy covers kind of thing. It was like one of those Encyclopedia Britannica
Right.
collections or
You buy
something.
a set and you get like one book every month because it's like a club or whatever.
Right. And
Yeah.
so like Tom Sawyer, so Mark Twain would be another influence.
Mhm.
Um, Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, Nathaniel Hawthorne,
Mhm.
and like all those guys, along with Poe, along with um, Emily Bronte, Wuthering Heights.
Charlotte Brown. I don't know.
Is that Charlotte or Emily? I can never
I
keep.
can't remember that right now.
Yeah, I'm
It's
like,
been a
what?
while.
Uh,
Like I wasn't one of those girls that carried around Wuthering Heights with me. I was the girl that carried around like Edgar Allan Poe and Stephen King and stuff. So.
well, my mom had the Stephen King collection, so her books I would just read. James Herbert also was another
Oh
influence.
yeah,
I
he's
love
very
James Herbert.
good. Mhm.
And so like the first book that like the I guess the Bronte sisters and Anne Radcliffe, those were my first forays into gothic fiction.
Mhm.
And with Wuthering Heights, I absolutely fell in love with it. And Anne Radcliffe, The Mysteries of Udolpho,
Right.
fell in love with that book.
Yeah.
And since then I've expanded my horizons a little bit into the other Bronte sisters, but Wuthering Heights by far was one of the most influential books because I ended up writing Nemesis shortly after that, and Nemesis and Heathcliff are very similar on purpose.
They are, aren't they? I hadn't thought of that until you just said so. And then also, do you know that I never read Anne Radcliffe until you mentioned to me?
Oh, she's wonderful.
I never heard of her, and I love it so much. Such a great story. Um, when did you discover Edgar Allan Poe?
At the same time, because we had the collected works of Edgar Allan Poe in that series too.
Mm-hmm.
And, funnily enough, The Raven was not included. It was like the Cask of Amontillado and The Mask of the Red Death and all those other ones, his short stories, but The Raven was not included in that.
Wow. See, my favorite poem, even to this day, like out of all the poetry except for one very particular piece of poetry I read this summer, my favorite is Annabelle Lee.
That's a
And
good
it just always has been. Ever since I was young, I think I learned it when I was like 11 or 12.
The one poem I remember from when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
it was some and I don't know who wrote it. I just remember it was kind of terrifying. It was The Gallows Tree. And
Oh,
it
wow. You read that as a kid?
yeah, I was oh god, I think I was in 5th grade, if even.
Right? Why? Was it assigned to you or something?
I don't remember how I came across it. I just never forgot it.
Good job, Fish Brains.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one that.
And yeah, it's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, like the last line stuck with me,
Mm-hmm.
where it was like, a sigh of groan and I alone rode on that night from the gallows tree. And it was just like, Jesus, dude, you left your woman to
Like,
get eaten by some crazy ass monster while
yeah.
you kept riding? Good job.
Getting one.
Yeah, like, dude, women, dime a dozen, what ups?
All right, well, that was from Becca.
Okay. Yeah, I just remember it. I was like, what? I also
Wow.
remember Waiting for Godot. Like, we read that, and I think it was in 10th grade.
Right.
And I also was reading Camus. So Camus was also a very influential aspect of my.
So we had a book by Camus in our house growing up. And my dad didn't go to college. In fact, I don't think he even finished high school. But he was one of the smartest people I've ever met. And he only knew Camus from reading the book because he picked it up. And for the longest time, I thought his name was Camus because that's how my dad said it. And it took me years to unlearn that. And even still, when I see Camus' name, that's what my mind says first in my dad's voice.
Oh, yeah. And
Yeah.
before I started taking French, or before I guess I learned the proper pronunciation,
Mm-hmm.
I was also saying Camus. So don't feel bad.
Well, that's why I try to never make fun of people for mispronouncing words because, I mean, they probably learned it by reading it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of stuff that
Yeah.
I've read and I've never heard pronounced, and so when I say it to people who know how to pronounce it, they start laughing because they're like, "Really?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I never actually heard anybody say it." It's not like I move in intellectual. Well, I do move in intellectual circles, but not intellectual enough to know foreign words.
Who are
I
you calling
guess.
intellectual? I don't know no foreign words.
Yeah. Be best, Candy. Be best.
I am being best. Bigly best.
Bigly best. You're the hugest best.
I have all the best words.
Who asked that question?
Becca. That's what I said. That one's from
Oh,
Becca.
I didn't hear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Becca.
Okay, so the next one is, if Susie were a crystal, which would she be in your eyes and why?
Ooh. If you were a crystal, what would you be in my eyes? That's really difficult because you have a lot of properties of a lot of different, man. Like, I want to go with the easy answer and be like quartz because she amplifies everything. But I feel like that's cheating. Gosh.
Yeah, I was kind of stumped myself when I read it because I was like, I don't even know what crystal I'd be.
Well, give me a minute. Larimar.
Ooh.
Because you're light and carefree and you very much have a lot of water energy about you. But you're also healing and like, this is just for me, I don't really care what other people think. You're also very like calming and grounding and centering. Yeah, so you'd be Larimar and you're pretty.
I totally thought you would have gone with Lodolite, aka Garden Quartz.
No.
Because I would have picked that for myself.
Well, you're not picking. I was picking.
Yeah, I know you're picking. And that was Nolan.
Okay. It's a good question.
That is a good question, right?
Yeah.
So Nolan, bonus answer, I would have picked Garden Quartz for myself. Because it's like all the properties of quartz as Candy's first instinct was, but also it's everything that's included in it, given whatever inclusions there are. And for those who don't know what Lodolite looks like, let's see, I don't know if I can get this on camera.
That's a good one.
Yeah, right?
Nice one, yeah. I have one up here somewhere, but it's not like handy, so. All right, so what would I be if you had to pick as a follow-up question? Because now I'm curious. I know what I'd pick for myself, but.
I would pick for you fire agate.
Really?
Yeah. Because you're kind of, you've got this like grounding energy, but you're also very fiery.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also like very deep. What ifs? So yeah, I would say fire agate or fire opal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like that grounding sort of matrix energy coupled with the stone itself that's inside of it. So there's like this rough, crunchy exterior and then this very delicate stone inside. Yeah, that's right. I said it.
You said it out loud, too.
I said it out loud on a recording.
Rude. I would pick carnelian for myself, or maybe citrine.
See that? I could see carnelian. Carnelian was like my knee-jerk reaction, but when I really thought about it, I'm like, nah, fire opal or fire opal or fire agate.
Okay. All right, so it's my turn to ask you something, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, so if you could be a rock star or a musician, live or dead, who would you be?
If I could be a rock star, alive or dead.
Mm-hmm. Or a musician, you have a choice. Like, just somebody in the musical field.
I'd want to be myself. Um, but if I had to choose somebody that I had to be,
Like somebody extant, like obviously.
that's a stumper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a toss-up
Okay.
between Joan Jett and probably David Bowie or Jazz Coleman from Killing Joke.
Okay.
Yeah. What's that?
I could pick you. I could picture you as Joan Jett for sure, and also David Bowie. So yeah, but
Yeah.
why Jazz Coleman?
He's pretty complex. So he's got this, yeah, like he's got this very he's got this, like, you know, industrial metal thing going on, but then he's also got this classical thing going on. But then over here he's got this whole spiritual thing going on, and then back over here he's got this like metaphysics thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that's
Yeah, he's
right in my wheelhouse.
incredibly intelligent and
Yeah.
very talented. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd be that arrogant about it, but I can
Yeah,
identify.
you would.
You know, I don't know if I would. I mean, I am smart on my own,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I joke around about all kinds of shit, but at the same time, it's,
Well,
you
that's
know,
what I meant. Like, I didn't think you'd be
yeah,
like,
like he doesn't joke around about it. He just
yeah.
is. And you know, I've read his letters from Kathira, and I'm like, dude, you've got some unresolved issues going on with your ex-wife.
Yeah, you think?
So I'm like, man, that's some rough stuff. I feel uncomfortable, but
Yeah. Do I really need to read this? Okay. Well, that question was from Simon.
nice. Good question, Simon. So let's see. This one for you. What was the first piece of music that made you cry?
I'm embarrassed to say.
If it's Friday I'm in Love, I'm gonna smack you.
No, it's so growing up, we were kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and I was like a horse girl, and I was like outside, and I had my horses, but I wasn't like an East Coast horse girl. I was like a friggin' out west.
Like a ranch hand.
Well, I mean, I don't know about all that, but like I did barrel racing and like all of that kind of stuff, and I just like lived and breathed horses, and so, and ever since I was like little, man, like 4 or 5, always it was horses and art, right? So, do you know that song Wildfire about?
Oh my gosh, yes, I totally do.
That's the one.
You know what's funny?
I know all the words still.
That song and I Needed You
Mm-hmm.
are the songs that made me cry.
Really?
And I cried with I Needed You because my duck, my pet duck, Slugger, had been killed by a fox or a dog or something. And yeah,
Yeah.
he
That,
was a white Peking duck, and he was huge. He was a huge duck. And I loved the hell out of that duck.
yeah. The other one that would make me cry was my dad traveled a lot because he worked for an oil company at the time. Like he was laying the pipeline across the country from Oklahoma out west. And that song Silver Wings, um, I will post it. But my mom used to sing it at night when he was away because she would miss him. and it's about like leaving on a plane. But it's not like leaving on a jet plane, leaving on a plane. It's like silver wings are taking you away and leaving me lonely, and yeah. So that's the other one. As soon as I was like old enough to understand what it meant, yeah.
So that was Genie.
Okay.
That's that one.
That's a really good question.
That's a good one, right?
Yeah, I like that. All right, so Susan, what is your all-time favorite magical item to create and why?
My computer. Or my notebook.
I was gonna say you didn't create your computer, maybe. Yeah.
You mean to
like to create your actual item, like, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought like
No, not to
the
use.
tool that I use to create. Okay.
Like, what's your favorite to create yourself?
To create myself. Probably my altar.
Okay.
I had an antique beat to hell coffee table that I got when I lived in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, going for my master's degree. And I ended up, when I moved to Florida, I decided it needed to be completely overhauled. So I ended up, I painted it to be an altar, and I painted a rose right in the middle of it. And it's this really nice, very pretty. It's got the 4 direction colors and stuff like that. And so I would have to say that's it. And a funny story about that is when my husband and I first started dating, he thought it was just a really fancy gothy coffee table. And I was like, the candles, the pentacle, all this other stuff on it.
The bell, none of that gave
away. The bell was underneath. So he thought that the pentacle, because it's a silver plated pentacle. It's about this big, and he thought it was a coaster.
Wow.
Which, he does use a lot of coasters, which up until that point, up until we got married, I never used a coaster. I threw like a napkin under something. It was just like, that's my coaster. So I'm like, when he said that the pentacle was a coaster, I was like, a silver plated coaster.
Right? Like, yikes.
So who asked the question?
That was Nolan.
Nice. Okay, so this next one. What are 3 items you could buy together at the grocery store to make the cashier laugh?
3 items I could buy together at the grocery store to make the cashier laugh. Like, do I want to embarrass them, make them laugh, or just like make them think it's funny, make them laugh?
Do you hear that?
Yeah, it's.
What was that?
I had my phone, I thought, on airplane mode. Someone was just trying to call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, okay. Do I want to embarrass them, make them laugh, or do I want to
just make them laugh, because, I mean, being a cashier is hard enough.
Okay. So, Gosh, I haven't done something like this in a while. Condoms. Duct tape. And a shovel.
Nice.
Yeah.
So This is a two-parter. If you had a warning label, what would yours say?
Caution may go off at any time. Like unpredictable.
And those are from Chris.
Those are great. Those are great. Okay, your turn. Since you love your garden and gardening, what flower would you be if you were a flower? What color? What scent? What type of foliage and petals would you have? And would you be a vine? Would you be night blooming? Be details.
I would probably be night blooming jasmine. Or honeysuckle.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, one, they smell amazing, and the second, everybody smells them. They're just like,
Yeah, and everybody knows that scent, right?
Yeah, so, and they're beautiful flowers, so I would be one and or both of those.
Okay. And what color would you be?
Well, whatever color they come in, so orange or white.
You're not gonna be creative and be like a special blue.
Oh, yeah, I would be blue if I could. Like cobalt blue, like
right.
Blue.
Okay. And that was from Tara.
Good one.
Mm-hmm. Very good one.
Okay.
I'm putting them off as I go.
So we've got, oh, and the music that made you cry was from Jeannie.
Okay, I've got one more for you.
Oh,
Wait, I have two. I have two more.
Yeah, I have two more for you too.
Okay.
So, do you use crystals in your craft? If so, do you have a favorite? What do crystals? How do crystals affect people?
Okay. I use crystals all the time. Yes. I not only use them in my craft, I use them in my art. I use them when I make ritual tools for people. Like if I make wands for people and I'll inlay crystals into them, depending upon their personality, so that I can make it more powerful for them. Or if it's like someone like you, I would put like some Larimar and maybe definitely some quartz, but like just things that remind me of water and like make it a water element thing. So yes, they definitely affect people. Certain crystals resonate with certain people more than others. That's why when you go to the metaphysical shops, they say run your hand over it and see what calls to you, because everything has its own vibrational frequency and its own energy, and the energy of the molecules and things moving in crystal might resonate with yours or match yours in a way from one that it wouldn't from another, that are the same kind of crystal but arranged differently, if that's the easiest explanation. And let's see, what was the rest of the question was my favorite, right?
Yes, your favorite. And so you said yes to the crystals in your craft, and if so, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I definitely use them in my craft because I wear them to like assist, like, because I feel awful today. So I'm wearing some things that like help support that. Like I'm wearing hematite because it helps ground you, and it helps with inflammation and things like that. But then I also have like citrine and tiger eye and red jasper and just like things that can be supportive. But my favorite, Do I have to name just one?
What are your top 5?
Top 5. Okay. So it would be carnelian, citrine, black moonstone, um, quartz in any variety, whether it be smoky or garden quartz, just quartz. Like, give me a good chunk of quartz and I'm a happy girl. And black kyanite, I think. Yeah,
That's a good one.
that's my top 5.
That was from Marianne.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and those are my favorite because they each resonate with me differently, and they each I don't know, carnelian just, it feels like it matches my personality really well. But then again, so does citrine, and I feel really like supported with it. But those are also stones that are like attuned to the fire element, and there's we're gonna have to do like a show or multiple shows on just crystals because there's so much to learn, and it takes years, but you do well if you know like where to find the information and where to find good information, because there's so much bad.
So much woo
So much
woo.
like, and there's just like nonsense that like even books that are published and people have been like revering for years, and they get the geological information about the minerals and crystals wrong, and once they've done something as simple as that, I don't trust their other information.
Well, there's different locations for the crystals, but there's
Yeah.
also different properties. Like for me personally, the fluorite that comes out of the Roger Lee mine in the UK is my absolute favorite fluorite of
Mhm.
all time. I love fluorite everywhere else, but
Yes.
Brazil fluorite is also great. But the Roger Lee mine, absolute hands down, my absolute favorite.
Well, I
Um,
don't mean getting the geological information incorrect, like that they're getting geological locations wrong. I mean they're actually getting like the breakdown of the
oh,
elements involved. Like,
gotcha. Okay.
yeah, they're like saying, there's one author in particular, I don't want to mention names,
Yeah.
but she says that like certain crystals have things in them that they don't have, and she's not reliable. I'm rambling, I'm sorry.
There's also the one source that says that certain crystals only come from one spot, and she's got a
And
designated
he
source.
crossed the desert with it on his back, and it was so hard, and she's the only one that can
And
get
there's
down right.
llamas that are trained to go get those rocks from the
Yeah.
mines, and
Oh my God. And I can copyright stones. I can copyright trade. Like, yeah, you can copyright trade names, but I mean, come on.
yeah, a
Next
Google
year,
search is a beautiful thing, guys. So if
yeah.
you're looking for your rocks, do a Google search, a Google image search. Um, if there's a picture and they're saying they're the only source for this stone, do a Google image search.
Doubt them, yeah, because
That's how I found it for $20 cheaper.
Ooh. I have actually a very, very, very good source for crystals. I'm
Same.
gonna plug her right now shamelessly. Tammy at Durga's Hearth. She can go and find things for you, and she's fair. She gets good quality, um, and she's reliable.
Mm-hmm.
She's not someone that's going to sell you something and then not ship it to you for 6 months.
What do you mean? There's a few really good sources on Etsy and on eBay.
Yeah, I'll link Tammy down below though.
Yeah, I think Bliss Crystals is the one that I go to a lot too.
What's that?
I think Bliss Crystals. Let me just check. There's one that I absolutely love.
But yeah, I mean, like, if anyone has like questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I like to teach people things. I actually really enjoy it. So
Yeah. And I work in education, so.
Yeah.
But that
Which
question,
means that I like it, but she knows how to actually do it. So
that question was for Marianne.
that's a fantastic question.
That
I'm
was
sorry,
a good
Miriam.
question.
All right. So, where was the most beautiful sunset that you have ever experienced?
Hmm. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, I do love sunsets. Probably the Poconos. Because
Okay.
growing up, we always had such amazing. We lived on the top of a mountain, so we always had some really amazing sunsets. Um, and especially in wintertime, we always had the most incredible sunsets in wintertime.
Hmm.
So I guess that.
Okay. Wonderful. That one was from Jeannie.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I look at, and here even we have really good sunsets too.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I love sunsets in general. So
Yeah. My my favorite one was over the North Sea.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So this next one you're gonna love. You ready
Oh,
for it?
maybe.
Do you feel a part of you is missing since you were treated for the rabies?
Oh, do I feel a part of me is missing since I was treated for the rabies?
Backstory time. Candy was actually treated for rabies.
Um, I was actually hospitalized because of this. So what
I'm
happened?
sorry, but I'm still laughing about it. I know it was serious, but we can laugh about it now because you survived.
Yeah, but like, who the fuck gets rabies? Like,
you get rabies.
but I didn't actually get rabies.
It's true because they treated you for rabies before you got
There
it.
has not been rabies where I live in decades. But anyway, so my dogs were outside and, being dogs, checking things out. And one of them is a husky, so she has a very high prey drive. And the other one is a mix, and he has a lot of sight hound and scent hound in him. So he likes to hunt things. We call him Jeffrey Dogmer because he will jump up and snatch birds out of the air as they're trying to dive bomb him.
My cat used to do that
Yeah.
with blue
And
jays.
yeah, blue jays, exactly. He will snap the blue jay out of the air quicker than anything. But anyway, so Jeffrey Dogmer and his sister were outside, and it was nighttime, and all of a sudden I hear them. Rah, 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 rah. I was like, what the heck is going on? Because they're not aggressive. They don't do that. So I thought they had got like in a fight with a raccoon or something. And then I hear this, rah, this big screech. So there was a feral cat in my yard. And I went out and I didn't want them, obviously, to hurt the cat. And like I was outside with them. I don't let them outside by themselves. Anyway, so to the point. Um, I went and I like grabbed them, and of course they listened to me when I told them no, leave it.
Oh, yeah,
But the
yeah,
cat's still
as
there.
they do.
Yeah, but the cat's still there. They're trying to defend themselves and like dodge it and whatever. And I didn't want the cat to get hurt. I didn't want it to like hit them and then one of them bites it, right? I just didn't want that to happen. So I had the dogs and I was like holding them like this, like one hand on each chest. And the cat jumps up, the ungrateful little bastard jumps up and claws my hand and bites me. And I still have scars on those hands.
First rule of Dogfight Club.
Yeah, obviously don't save the kitty. But anyway,
Or
uh,
just use a hose. A
Yeah.
hose works.
Didn't have a hose handy. Water wasn't on. Somebody would have gotten hurt. I was rather it would be me. So, anyway, I tend to do that. I'll throw myself in front of a truck. It just happens.
I'll save you.
Yeah, well, superhero complex.
What you
Anyway,
do.
um, so yeah, I had to get rabies shots because it was a feral cat. They don't know. And um, the rabies shots weren't the problem because they don't give you like 100 shots in your belly anymore. It's just like a couple shots in your butt. Um, but my hand got
In the
infected.
butt.
Yeah, my hand got infected, and because I have autoimmune diseases, my immune system isn't great. So when I say my hand got infected, my hand got infected to the point where I went on antibiotics and I had a reaction to the antibiotics, and then the other antibiotic wasn't working. And so I was hospitalized, like literally for 3 days?
Yeah, you were in bad shape,
Yeah,
and
I was a
you
mess.
made merciless fun of you to cheer
Yeah,
you up.
yeah, I was a mess. So yeah, that's the story of the rabies.
Tia.
And because I was there and I was miserable, we decided to make up the story that I was in a secret government facility and they were experimenting on me. Back to the whole, I joke around that I'm a werewolf a lot, right? So they were experimenting on the werewolf because
And
the
that's how
cat
you
didn't
got the
know what
nickname Mad
happened.
Dog.
Yeah, and that's why, yes, that's why you call me Mad Dog. Um, so just to make myself feel better and to amuse everyone, I made up the story that I was a werewolf and I was trapped in a secret government facility trying to get out, and they kept sedating me. And yeah, so actually, no, I don't feel like there's something missing because you um, told people that I wasn't well and that I had to rest because I was trying to not rest, as I do. And so there was this great outpouring of love and
Don't blame that on me.
information
That is
from,
just regular human goodness.
well, no, I mean, this was above and beyond, from a bunch of independent authors, musicians, like people were sending me their books to read, electronically, obviously. And I made some really good friends because of it. And that was also when you were squishing your pointy little goth fingers and shoving me in a direction that I didn't know I needed to go in. And I actually gained a lot from getting the rabies.
It is
That was, what, 3.5, 4 years ago?
something like that. Yeah, the only way you were going to stay in bed was if you had something to do, and so I called in a whole bunch of contacts.
Yeah, and for the past while, yeah, things have been very different in my life. So no, I gained a lot from the rabies, but thank you for asking.
That was from Brent, aka Matt.
Yes. Guess what? That's the question I have. I'm gonna ask you his question now. Does it hurt having all them people living in your head?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That's it? That's all you got? Just yes?
Yes, and I would like to ask a question to Matt. Did it hurt when you got that giant torso tattoo of 3 of my characters from my novels?
It's not even finished.
I know.
So it's just
It's an awesome tattoo, though.
yeah.
I'm kind of honored. I'm being sarcastic right now, but I'm totally flattered and honored that he liked them enough to get a
Actually
tattoo.
a really nice piece too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks really good.
it's awesome.
And I hope
So, yeah, he got a tattoo. For those not in the know, Our friend Matt read my books, really liked the books, and we started talking. We became friends. And this is before I met Candy, even. And he comes to my Halloween party one year, and then reveals that he's got this tattoo that he got done based on Lilith, Gnosis, and Eve, from the Immortal War series. So that was kind of awesome. I was just like,
yeah,
oh
it's
my God.
beautiful. Matt's like that though. He doesn't want people to know, but he's a really good guy.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
So
he's gonna kill me for saying that.
he's gonna be like, you guys. It's like, no, dude.
Oh yeah, stop being such a basic bitch, Brent.
his response is gonna be, sure, Jan.
Yeah, I know, right? Becky.
Okay. Oh my God, Becky.
So I have one more question for you.
Oh.
Do you have another one for me?
No, that was it. That's all the questions I got.
So I don't have a check mark next to this one, so I must not have asked it. Do you listen to music while you write? And does music ever inspire a story for you?
It does, and yes. So long time ago, when I was about 16, I had gotten the album The Dancing Years by Shriekback. And still one of my favorite albums to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And the song Nemesis, I ended up drawing a picture of Nemesis to. And then I ended up, a couple of years later, writing an entire novel based on it. But yes, I totally listen to music while I'm writing. In fact, there's a book out there, very little known book, that I wrote with a bunch of other authors. Christian Dumais, Derek Caraveau, there's another Derek. I can't remember all the names anymore, but we ended up,
my other brother Derek.
Yeah, Daryl, and my other brother Derek. So we ended up writing this book called Cover Stories, and it's a fictional anthology. And so we listened to songs and then wrote 10 stories each to those songs. So we listened to royalty-free music for the first anthology, and then for the second one that never actually came out, we ended up doing other stuff. But for the first one, I ended up doing Combi Christ. So a bunch of the songs in there are Combi Christ titles. And so, like, there's...
I don't know what that was.
The ghosts. Ghosts. I'm not saying it was aliens, but...
Interesting than I realized. But anyway.
I love that we keep getting some bizarro shit going on in your house every time we record something.
Like, last time it was not a gunshot, even though it sounded like it, and I reacted.
It sounded like fireworks.
It was an M80, like almost in my front yard, because my window faces the front of the house. Like, it is the front of the house, and it was somebody like on the sidewalk
with an M80.
Obviously, because freedom. Anyway, finish your story. I'm sorry.
So when I write, I have playlists for literally everything that I'm writing. Candy can attest to that because she has put a bunch of my stuff online.
They're on Spotify. I made them, yeah.
So yeah, I sent her a list of all the songs that I listened to while I wrote certain books, and she put them onto Spotify. The Secondhand Sarah blog had an entire Pandora playlist at one point, and then it got revamped for Spotify. Music is huge for my writing, especially if I have a scene in mind where say I need more of a soundtrack, because when I'm writing something, it's almost like a movie scene when I'm writing something. Like I see it playing out, and so I pick the soundtrack that would be playing when that happens, and then I write to it. So it's sort of like watching a Kubrick film. All of a sudden you've got this music playing.
I can understand that because music's a crucial part of my creative process as well. I have different things that I'll listen to depending on the different types of things I'm working on. Like, yeah.
And for my art too, like when I would do art projects, paintings or sculptures or whatever, I would be listening to music all the time. In fact, there's a painting that I did that is called Three Imaginary Boys, and I painted it to the soundtrack of The Cure, Three Imaginary Boys, the entire album. So that entire piece, it's a mix of Three Imaginary Boys Cure album along with 17 Seconds and Faith.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's got the element of the three boys in it, but it's men. And then while I was painting it, I used very watered down acrylics. So it's almost like it rained on top of a photograph. And so all these guys are like running into these rivulets, and it became very much a 17 Seconds of Faith picture at that point. In fact, in wintertime, 17 Seconds and Faith are my two favorite albums to write to. Okay. Especially when it's sunset in wintertime with snow on the ground. Those two have always been my favorite albums to write to in the winter.
Yeah, I have songs like, actually the the hibiscus flower, it's actually called Blue Water after a song.
Nice.
And it was inspired because the first line, move back and step outside yourself, and that is actually my first watercolor painting. So I was doing something completely out of my comfort zone. And then I ended up just making it my logo because, of course, I did.
Yeah.
Love it that much. But yeah, so I have that. I always I have certain songs I listen to get myself in the mood for, if I'm going to be doing something that is a very energetic piece, I'll listen to Preacher Man by The Neff.
Yep.
And then
I don't know if you realized it, but Vet for the Insane was The Tower.
Yeah.
Along with Dark Cell AD and One More Nightmare.
That's funny.
Yeah, those three were on repeat.
Yeah. And then I have if I'm making tools for people, I want it to have the best vibe possible. So I won't necessarily listen to my agro-tech music when I'm making it, but I'll listen to more Fleetwood Mac and that stereotypically witchy stuff, because it has a good feel to it, and there's a reason it stereotypically was witchy. Music is a form of witchcraft, I swear to you. It is.
Check out Love Spirals Downwards. Love that album. That is one of my favorite albums. And Ashes in the Brittle Air is another one. And of course Lycia.
Lycia. And then there's another band that I really love called Unto Ashes. That makes some great music. Incubus Succubus.
Yep.
Makes some excellent music. So yeah.
Yeah. There's some really good stuff. What's that?
Should we link to them?
Go for it.
I could talk about music for hours too. So yeah, I really like
it. Is that it? Is that it for the questions? Have we ever reached the questions?
Yeah, I think that's it. That's all.
Who was the last question from?
Oh, yeah, that was from Marianne.
Good one. It's a really good one. Yeah, that was yeah. I do listen to a lot of music. And
Yeah, same. That's actually how, when we first met, we actually bonded over music before we bonded over all the myriad other things.
well, that and I was busy throwing myself in front of you because people were ganging up and I didn't like it.
Oh yeah, because I said that the magic isn't in the tools.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
right.
But you know what the worst part about? I still remember that. The worst part about it was somebody else that was like in the clique said the exact same thing 3 comments down and got praised for saying what I said.
Yeah,
Got torn apart. Yeah,
yeah. They
that's
didn't
when,
like the fact that I also shopped on eBay and got better prices and better quality merch.
right? Yeah, and that we kind of, I don't know. I feel like that we were just in that cult to meet each other, because I
I think
learned
so.
more from people in the group than I learned from, um
The leader.
if yeah.
I learned a very valuable lesson on how manipulating people sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, because there was some serious emotional awful carnage from
Yeah,
that experience. But I got you, I got some wonderful sisters and a new bonus mom, and I think that's the only reason I was there, because I was already far enough advanced in my craft. It was more of, I bought something and I wrote a note because they want like specifics for a certain item.
yeah.
And then it was like, oh, wow, so you've got this stuff going on, and you seem vulnerable. Why don't you
Yeah.
they
I ended
pounced
up
right on
I
it.
ended up getting free stuff. So when I first made my first order, I got the kit, and then I got a second kit. And so I ended up writing to them saying, "Hey, I got two." And
Mm-hmm.
they were like, "Well, obviously there's a reason you got two."
Yeah, because you screwed up. They always, it was always like, oh, this big mystical thing. And I remember
Yeah.
there was this giveaway of this gorgeous piece, um, and everybody was all excited about it and like entered and did all the things and jumped through all the hoops, and then it never got given away
No.
because it was a personal collection piece.
Yeah. I still have one of the personal collection pieces.
Yeah, well, see, here's the thing. Like, I have some things that have been in my personal collection that I have sold to people or gifted to people or whatever, but being on my altar and being my tool doesn't make it special.
No, it
Like,
does if you're looking for that energy.
well, I wasn't finished. The sentiment of the gift is what makes it special,
Right.
and the idea and the creation behind it.
And
The
it's
fact
not
that
much a gift if you're selling it at top dollar.
well, yeah, but the I'm talking about like giveaways or whatever.
Yeah.
But just because it sat on my altar,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got an altar. You know what I
But
mean?
it's
Like,
not super special.
it's just slimy. Like, people, like, yeah, I'll charge things on my altar and stuff, but I don't tell people that to
Yeah.
try and make it seem like, oh, my altar is better than yours.
Yeah.
It's just so people know that I have put intention and I have actually worked the things I said I was going to work into. I want them to know I'm giving them what they paid for.
That's what I do with my yarn. I make a very specific, and it's custom order only,
Mm-hmm.
yarn that's spun with intent.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody wants me to spin their yarn and knit them something with a specific intention in mind, that's a very custom order. It's not just like I would put up the yarn if it was already spun, like, hey, here's the intent that I spun it with. Go ahead, have them all knit with it.
Exactly. And
But it was never priced higher than my usual yarn. It was just, hey, it's a special yarn because I knit it with this specific intent in mind.
right. The only time I price anything higher because of putting intentions and things into that is because either I'm using more materials,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm using more expensive materials, or it just takes me more time.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it because like, you're paying for my magic anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because I'm doing the job anyway. I'm doing the thing. But I don't know. It's dirty to me. I can't explain what I'm trying to explain, and I'm
It does
sorry.
feel weird charging extra for that.
Yeah, it feels dirty to me.
I feel like sex would be less personal. Like if I was like, hey, $5, same as in town, it would be less personal than
Exactly. It feels like a form of prostitution because I'm giving you something intimate.
right, but at the same time, I don't feel like prostitution's as intimate as magic. I feel like prostitution is a
True.
service, just like whatever. I need to make money, so there we go. Whereas
Well, no,
unless they're putting out some sort of vibe into it.
cheapening. It's cheapening what I'm doing and turning it into prostitution is, I guess, what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. And that's not, I'm not.
Yeah, it's like a weird,
Yeah, I just want people to be,
it's like spiritual sex work.
yeah, and that's not it. I want people to be happy. I want them to have all the good things they deserve, and like, why are we discussing this while I am not feeling well? Because I'm going to say some things that are more personal than I intend to. So
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
yeah.
And we've answered all the questions.
Yes, we
Unless
have.
unless you've got more. I have a question for you. Me,
Okay.
personally.
Okay.
What has been your favorite thing to create and why? What's your favorite piece, be it magic or art?
Gosh. I mean, I love them all when I'm in the thick of creating them. Um, you know what I really like? I really like working with my hands and creating those intentional tools, and that is art. Um, because I'm hollowing out things for inlays, and I'm putting runes and things, and I'm carving, and there might be painting, and I love, love, love making wands for people and besoms for people, um, because they are so individual for each person, um, and they, like, I know they're going to be loved and used.
We'll need to put your Etsy link in the description too, because that's live again.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not good at the self promotion. But yeah, I like creating the custom besoms also because that's like historically kind of a protective tool, and I like to take care of and protect and shield people. So it's nice to be able to do that for people. Yeah. I love making my art. Like I said, every single thing I make is my favorite while I'm in the thick of it. But yeah, those are my, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Now you.
Oh.
Yeah. You talked about you make things with intent. When you are actually creating a piece for someone with intent, do you work spells into the fibers and knots? And if so, what kind of things will you work in?
So if somebody asks me to spin a yarn with intent,
Mm-hmm.
then the entire time that I'm spinning it, I do the whole ritual bath. I do the moon phases
Mm-hmm.
and focus that energy into
Mm-hmm.
the yarn. And even right up until it's drying and shipped, like when I'm packaging it to ship it,
Mm-hmm.
right up until that point, it is being energized.
Do you do what I do and set up like a crystal grid around your workspace for the particular piece that you're working on?
I have a generic crystal grid that
Oh,
can pretty much go whichever way. So,
oh.
yeah, like in my office, especially since it's a shared space,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very generic crystal grid.
Mm-hmm.
So my desk has the focus mainly of my creative stuff, and then upstairs in the art room has a creative energy to it that's kind of a kapow.
Yeah, I've been up there. That's an amazing room.
It's
Please. Sorry.
all
Please
good.
continue.
So yeah, so when I'm spinning the yarn, if somebody has commissioned me to spin a yarn for them, that's what goes into it. And then when it's washed, so when I'm setting the twist, I'm actually using oils and intention in the rinse to set the twist. And that's where you're really setting in that energy.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is it just hot water and maybe some dishwashing liquid, but it's also got essential oils and some sort of anointing oil.
Mm-hmm.
And then I anoint my hands and put them into the water.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's set up drying, in the sun, charging up, and I'll usually set it up outside. Now that I've got my garden back, I can set it up out in the garden in the archway. So that would be like really special if I put it in the archway for the garden. Whereas usually I put it on the lamppost, but still it's another vortex in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they commission me to knit them something,
Mm-hmm.
it's basically kind of like a mala, where you have or a rosary, for lack of a better term,
Or
where
like witch's ladder.
yeah, where you meditate with those beads. Instead of meditating with the beads, I'm meditating with knitting needles and stitches, and I'm focusing on that intent. And so I create something, that's a lace shawl, or it's a scarf or a wrap or something like that, but it's something pretty. And the client and I will, work together to pick out a fiber, yarn content, the pattern, like if it's something that speaks to them, and then the price. So we work, I'll let them know, like, hey, here's the final price for what you're looking for.
Right.
If we went with this yarn, you can get it cheaper. But for the most part, I don't usually charge for the work that goes into it, because
Well,
it's some complicated stitching.
yeah, and you can't really you can't compete with all the mass produced stuff if you actually
Yeah.
charge the real hours that you put into it.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm doing
I don't want to,
I'm doing Estonian lace, which is really complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I'll let the person who's buying the item name their price,
Mm-hmm.
which inevitably will end up, they'll give me more than I would have charged them.
Yeah, I have for custom pieces, I have kind of suggested starting prices, and then we figure it out.
Yeah. For the stuff that I'm knitting, usually I'm like, I'm gonna knit either way.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something really crazy complicated, then I'm like, yeah, you gotta pay me.
Mm-hmm.
There was one project that it was an Estonian lace shawl, where I was using a yarn that I had not spun, and that was not store bought. So it was an outside yarn,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really hard to work with. And the project was as big as my bed.
Oh my.
Yeah, and I ended up trading an iPad for
Mm-hmm.
that. So, yeah, and honestly, that was coming in cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Because I ended up having to tear that out about 5 times and start over.
Mm-hmm. And
Because
it's not
the yarn was
something
so
that you
hard.
can just sit down and knock out in a couple hours. This
No.
is like days and weeks worth of work. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think people realize that because machine knitting is so fast.
Yeah.
But it's also very simple.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not complex patterns. You know, you're not
No.
going to get, like, for example, let's see if I can get this untangled from my current project. um, you're not going to get, say, this
Right.
from a machine. You know, not only that, but you're not going to get as high a quality yarn, and you're
Right.
not going to be able to pick your colors, so it's not going to be completely customized.
Yours, exactly.
Yeah. Plus with the intent. So, you know, people can say what they want, but there's a reason that you pay for it. And it's quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted something that was machine made, sure, I'll go out and buy it. It's machine made, whatever. If I want something that I can hand down to my kid and feel good about, I'm going to buy that. And I'm going to put in payment plans, and, you know, I'm going to spend hundreds of dollars on it. And then my kid's going to be able to give it to whoever he chooses to call his own and live his life with. And, you know, I think that'll be a beautiful wedding present.
The boys aren't allowed to do that, though.
My son loves my knitting.
No, I'm just saying the boys aren't allowed to grow up.
Oh, no. I mean, honestly, like, everything that I have knit, every time my son sees me knitting something, he's like, is that for me?
Oh, I know. He's so cute.
He's adorable. And he loves the stuff that I knit. Even if it's lace, he wears it.
Mm-hmm.
He owns it. He's just like, he's walking around strutting his stuff. I'm like, you go with your bad self.
Model, too, honestly.
Oh, he is such a cutie.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he's everything I could ask for. Like, I won the baby lottery with him. I'm so glad to have him in my life because, honestly, he makes me want to be a better person.
Yeah.
You know, where he walks into a room and not only does he light up the room, but he goes to the person that needs him the most and immediately becomes their BFF.
Yeah.
Now we're having issues in summer camp. He goes to an outdoor summer camp, and there's this one kid who's giving him problems. The two of them just don't get along for some reason.
Oh no.
And the kid's younger than him and shorter than him by like a full head. And he's picking on him, and I'm like, dude, you better hope Brian doesn't lose his temper because he's gonna knock you on your butt.
Right? Like,
you know, like, what are you doing? Like, you better be really thankful that my kid's a gentle giant because he's got not a violent bone in his body. But get him mad and find out what happens. He's not far off from me in that regard, where it's like it takes a lot to get me to that point, but once it's there, it's like, dude, I will fight back and I will defend people that I care about. And I will have no regrets about it. So I told him this morning when he came in to say hi, I was like, can you do me a favor? I was like, can you try your best to get along with this other kid? And he's like, and I was like, I feel like this kid needs a friend.
yeah.
And he's just like, what? And I'm like, people do the stupidest shit when they're lonely. And I feel like this kid is super lonely. I was like, he may have kids that he hangs out with at camp, but he may not actually have any friends.
Right.
I was like, so just be nice to him. I was like, and if you can't be nice to him, just don't go near him.
Right.
You know, but either way, just, you know, cut this off cut it off at the pass, because, you know, this kid's been pushing him down and knocking him around, and I'm just like, dude, it's gonna end bad. You know, for both of them.
This other kid isn't getting in trouble?
Oh, he does. He gets in all kinds of trouble.
But he just does it anyway?
He does it anyway. So I asked my son, I'm like, what did you do to start all this? Like, what happened before this kid started with you? And he's just like, I don't know. You know, he said I was mean one day. I'm like, well, what were you doing before that? And he's like, I wasn't doing anything. I was playing with Play-Doh with my friends. And I'm like, there's more to this story. Like, something happened to set this kid off if he's coming up to my kid and saying, "You're mean." Like, what
Yeah.
happened? So I was just like, you just go be nice to him, okay?
Right.
And I was like, if he's thinking you're mean, something he perceived as mean.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it was, don't care what it was, but he perceives it as mean. Try to be nice.
Yeah.
You know, put this behind
Good
you.
advice, though. I mean, that's good advice for adults. Try to be nice.
Exactly. So I told him, I was like, my guess is he's very lonely. I was like, we're in an unprecedented time where adults are acting like assholes. And I can't imagine what home life is like for these kids.
Yeah.
So I was like, his family's probably under a lot of stress, and a little kindness goes a long way. I was like, so yeah, you may be mad at him for pushing you down or whatever. I was like, but he's probably seeing it as something at the moment that he can control.
Yes, exactly.
And
Somebody bigger than him that he can tear
right, and it's
because
yeah, and I was like, and he's projecting this world scenario onto you, even though that's not fair.
Here's my mouth. Sorry.
I was like, even though it's not fair, you know, we do stupid shit. As
Right.
humans, we always do stupid shit to try and deal with stuff. Instead of just dealing with whatever is upsetting us head on and admitting that that's the thing that's upsetting us,
Must deflect, must avoid. Yeah.
it bottles up and then it bursts everywhere else. And I was like, and it sounds like this kid is bursting everywhere else.
Right.
I was like, so it may not be necessarily anything that you did. It may be something that you did. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not saying you're innocent. I'm not saying you're guilty. I was like, but something he perceived that you did was mean.
Right.
I was like, so don't know what it was. Don't care what it was. Go be a good human being.
Yeah.
And be nice to him. I was like, because it sounds like he needs a friend right now. Yeah, and he was just like, okay. I was like, thank you. I was like, even if you're not BFFs, I don't care if you're BFFs. I'm like, I don't even care if you're friends. I'm like, just be nice to him. Be civil. You know, and if you can't be civil, just avoid him.
Sweetheart, you're going to start spouting philosophy next. You're repeating yourself.
My medicine has kicked in.
It's you've hit that like 2 a.m. phase.
Oh yeah.
Looking at the stars and talking about Aristotle.
And I can smell the peach cobbler that I'm making possibly burning. So I'm gonna go.
Well, okay. So that was fun. I hope that if you stayed to the end, you still like us.
Go be good people.
Yeah, come on. It's not hard to not be a dick.
Yeah, it's free, in fact.
It is free. And it's easy. It's easier than being mean.
It is, and it's refreshing.
Yeah, it is. It is. But yeah, so I guess like and comment, subscribe, share, all those fun things. I will put some links in the bottom for you. In the bottom. I'll put some links in the description box below for you to peruse at your leisure.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Mwah.
Mwah.